Right, so financial instrument is one of the fundamental accounting standards that you need to understand as you prepare for the financial reporting or the corporate reporting examination. This is because it is a subject matter issue that is fundamental when it comes to preparation of the financial statement. But the interesting thing is that financial instrument has different accounting standards, three to be specific when it comes to the way we treat financial instruments. So we have the IAS 32, and that is financial instrument presentation. We have IFRS 9, financial instrument recognition and measurement. And then we have the IFRS 7, financial instrument disclosures. The question you need to ask yourself all the time is, when do these accounting standards come in and how do I know how to treat them? Normally, IAS 32 financial instrument presentation is going to be coming up in respect of how we are supposed to classify various financial instrument transactions and most importantly, how we deal with compound financial instruments. For instance, when it comes to the issue in respect of compound financial instruments, which is where an entity issues convertible loan notes, IAS 32 is going to be coming to town for us to understand how we can split the convertible loan note, which is the compound financial instrument, into its debt component and the equity component. Because any time we hear an entity issuing a convertible loan note, it means that that convertible loan note has some equity component as well as the debt component. And so in that case, we are going to be applying the principles in IAS 32 financial instrument presentation to be able to then know how to split the convertible loan notes into the debt and equity components for recognition and measurement purposes. So when it comes to financial instruments generally, there are a couple of things that we need to understand. Number one is to understand in whose financial statements are we accounting or recognizing the financial instrument in question. So a couple of things you need to understand that a financial instrument is recognized when on one side there is an asset and on the other side there is equity or liability. Stay with me. Which means that anytime there is a financial instrument, one party is going to be recognizing a financial asset, another party is going to be recognizing an equity or a debt instrument. So a couple of things you need to understand to guide you to know whether you are dealing with a financial asset or you are dealing with equity or financial liability. Stay with me. If the entity in whose books we are preparing the financial statement, or if we are preparing the financial statement for an entity that has bought, acquired, purchased. So these are our keywords: bought, acquired, or purchased. If the entity is buying, acquiring, or purchasing a financial instrument, it could be an equity instrument, shares, or it could be a debt instrument. In the books of that entity, we are going to be recognizing a financial asset. So if the entity is buying shares, then it is a financial asset and that will be equity investment. If they are buying a debt instrument, it is still a financial asset and we will deal with it as a debt instrument. So that is the first thing we must understand. If our company is the one acquiring, buying, purchasing, making the investment, it's a financial asset. On the other hand, if our entity is the one issuing, selling, then in that case, we will be recognizing either an equity instrument or a debt instrument. So that is the golden issue that we need to understand, if you want, in respect of knowing whether I am dealing with financial asset or I am dealing with equity or liability. So the big question we then have to ask ourselves is, how do we determine whether the entity selling, the entity issuing should acquire a debt instrument or an equity instrument? It's very simple. Where the entity has an obligation to redeem or repay what they issued, then we say the entity should recognize a financial liability. But if the entity has no obligation to repay, then in that case, we will recognize equity instrument. So that is the thing that we need to understand to distinguish between whether we should recognize financial liability or equity instrument. So the big question we then have to ask ourselves is, how do we account for these financial instruments from the perspective of the buyer, financial assets, and from the perspective of the seller, financial liability or equity instrument? So let's start from financial assets. Accounting for financial assets by the entity depends on the type of financial instrument that they are buying, purchasing, or investing. So let's give some examples. If the entity is acquiring shares, in other words, the entity is buying some shares in another company, then that is equity investment. So we are going to be recognizing financial assets by debiting financial assets, equity investment, and credit cash or bank for the money that we paid. But the way we account for that financial instrument, that is the equity investment, has to be determined by the entity. So there are two approaches available. The entity can carry the equity investment at fair value through P&L or at fair value through OCI. For the most part, we are going to be told the policy that the entity is adopting. If the question is quiet, you can do at fair value through P&L, you will be marked right. At fair value through OCI, you will still be marked right. Now, what does it mean when we say at fair value through P&L? At fair value through P&L means that the entity may be acquiring the equity investment for trading purposes. In other words, maybe they are buying it so that they can sell it in the short term to make some gains and then go away. In that case, any transaction cost that is incurred in the purchases of the equity shares will be written off in the profit or loss account. Pretty simple. So when we are doing at fair value through P&L, transaction cost will be written off in the profit or loss account. And on subsequent measurement, any fair value gain or loss on the equity investment will be recognized also in the P&L account. So that is the first strategy at fair value through P&L. Two things. Transaction cost incurred is written off in the P&L as an expenses. Then any fair value gain or loss is also recognized in the P&L. Alternatively, the entity can carry the equity investment at fair value through OCI. When the entity is carrying the equity investment at fair value through OCI, again, two things. One, it means that any transaction cost that was incurred in making the equity investment will be recognized or included in the initial cost or the initial measurement of the equity investment. So get a difference here. Here, we are going to be including the transaction cost in recognizing or determining the initial measurement of the financial asset. What does that mean? Unlike at fair value through P&L, where the transaction cost, you will debit P&L and credit cash, at fair value through OCI, you are going to be debiting the financial asset and credit your cash. So it means at fair value through OCI, the initial measurement of the equity investment will now be how much the entity paid to acquire the shares plus the transaction cost that was incurred. And that is what you need to understand. Then on subsequent measurement, any fair value gain or loss certainly will be recognized in the other comprehensive income. So that is how we deal with equity investment, financial assets at fair value through P&L, at fair value through OCI.